Brrrp. 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 Zabokolololololololololodi. Chomp chomp. Tweep. Brrrp. Hello out there, friends. Hello, world. It's author the Meerkat Man, the Mongoose Man, Grant Malcolm ILRATH, coming to you live from the most magnificent Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve here in the Western Cape of South Africa. And this is Mongoose Magic Moments, Walk with Wildlife. I hope you're having a fantastic day. As you can see, it's fairly overcast here on the reserve today, this private reserve just outside of the town of Oudtshoorn. And inside this pipe, one of our special wildlife hotels, is the world-famous yellow mongoose, dominant female, who I've been following since 2018, and her family since 2008 on my reserve. They live, of course, with the world-famous Ungulungu Meerkats, who I've been protecting since 2001. And you may wonder, well, this is just a pipe in the ground. And you will see, stick around, because this is an unedited wildlife documentary. Anything can happen. There is, in fact, a world-famous yellow mongoose, cynictis penicillatus species, inside this particular pipe. She has just arrived, so she's busy investigating it. She will be coming out soon, and she will start marking her territory. But in the meantime, let's have a look around. Diggy, 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 diggy. All right, she's starting to come out. I think she got scared by a predator. There are many, many birds of prey on a day like this that come out and attack, and they have the cover of the clouds, which makes animals who they are hunting even more wary of them. You're going to see her in a moment. She's coming out of the pipe. Stick around, friends. Here we are at the Meerkat Mansion Research Base here in the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve. If you would like to visit my martial arts dojo, the Stone Dojo Gym, let's see if I can zoom in there. There is way off in the distance up on a hill on the reserve. That's our outdoor gym. You can Google map search that, Stone Dojo Gym, martial arts dojo. Oh, here she is, friends. Welcome. Welcome to LV. Welcome to Lawyer. Welcome to, oh, there are lots of interesting names here. Sabelo. All right. As I said, this is the real wildlife documentary. As you can see, she's gone back into the pipe briefly. She will never be far away from the safety. Yeah, there we go. She's looking up at a predator. So it's difficult to see them against the clouds. Yes. Oh, in fact, there are some swifts and swallows flying around all the way from Europe. They'll be heading back there soon, as of course it's going into summer there as we approach the winter months. And she is watching them because they're what I call the animal tourists in the area. They are not from this area. And oh, look, there's so much action happening here. You can't script these, and that's why I like to say this is not artificial intelligence, or as I say, artificial deception. This is the real deal. Anything can happen. But right now we have a fiscal shrike. It is in fact a parasitic bird when it comes to the mongoose and the meerkats that I study. I've been studying them professionally since 1993, when I qualified in South Africa as a nature conservationist. Let's see if we can get a bit closer to this bird. It's in fact not just here by chance, my friends, for our ornithologist bird friends out there. The fiscal shrike is known as the butcher bird. Die Laxman, there it goes. It'll be back. It'll be back. It's just waiting for her. Because when she's digging up food, just like with the meerkats, it will suddenly make an alarm call, which you can see on some of my other videos. And there she goes. There she goes. Did you see her quickly moving through there? She's investigating this entire labyrinth of tunnels here. And that bird knows. It knows exactly where she's going. We'll see her come out again. She's only just arrived in the area, so she's scent marking her territory. It's the equivalent of what I call an SSMS. If you see my Meerkats book from 2016, the first conservation book on meerkats, and I also talk about the mongoose species that I work with. There are, in fact, over 36 different species of mongooses. Oh, that's a terrible plural. I don't like it. It sounds like it should be mongoose or mongai, but it, in fact, is not from the English language. It comes from the Indian, Mongo. Yes, a shout out to all our friends from India today and everybody else around the world. If you'd like to watch my main YouTube channel, please do have a search there, because I have over 2 million views on that channel and over 1,700 videos. There she is. She's just coming up. You may wonder, what on earth, what strange sounds. And look at this guy. I'm over 6 foot, over 120 kgs. That's kilograms, friends, out there. Pounds, over 200 pounds. So please understand, when I'm approaching an animal like this, I don't want them to think I'm a stealthy predator creeping up on them to attack them. I let them know, in all the meerkats I've worked with the BBC films, National Geographic, Discovery over the last few decades, anybody with me and myself, of course, who they call the meerkat man, the mongoose man in the research world, because I'm the interpreter of these very shy and secretive creatures that most people will never even notice. You've already seen her, if you've been on the stream for a few minutes, going in and out of these pipes and guarding. She will come out in a bit again and relax. There she is again. I'm just letting you know, and there are many different codes that I use. You can try some of these sounds if you'd like. This is called audio associative NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, as the animal shrinks, as some people call me, refer to it as, or the animal psychologist. Yeah, it's cognitive psychology. So right here, she's looking at me, she's sniffing the air. She's, of course, wary because of the predators that have been disturbing her. And now she's coming out again. Please have a look, my friends. This is a wild mongoose. She can be anywhere in this entire area, and yet she has chosen to be here right now. She gave birth to a litter of babies on the 28th of last month. Tragically, I have not seen any of them, so I do not think they survived. We have come out of a terrible, terrible drought. Thank you so much, my friends. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for those in our fan club. Please do join. We appreciate you. And please remember, I don't go on schedules. When is my next live stream? Whenever the wildlife allow it. All right. Brrr. There you can see the white tip to her tail. She knows me extremely well. I'm basically like a noisy thing, a noisy object. She's got used to me over many years. Brrr. There you can see her looking at me. Let's have a zoom in. And I know the zoom function on TikTok Live is a bit wobbly. This is not me, by the way. It doesn't do this on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook live streams. So I won't stay zoomed in for too long. But there you can have a look at her incredibly beautiful anatomy. She has bright orangey red eyes. And what's extremely noticeable, I have to constantly look around me, friends. I will get back to her. I have to make sure, as a research biologist, and you can read my scientific publications if you would like, with Cambridge University Large Animal Research Group, LARG, in Britain, and the University of Pretoria Mammal Research Institute in South Africa, the MRI, with Professor John Skinner. Yeah, and you'll get an idea of what our wildlife research is about. As I like to say, I do open source research. This is the behind the scenes in science. I just have to reassure her every few seconds. Here I am, here I am, here I am. If she cannot see me, it's important. Thanks so much for the hearts. I appreciate you. Projes. Sauram, thank you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, Poncho Kochala. Dumela, Dumelang. Uchuhiliang. Gitsamapeni. Yeah, just for some of our wonderful viewers from around the world, I'm going to drop a few bit of language greetings here for you. That was a quick greeting in Sotho. Dumela, Dumela, Likai, Ritangwanokai. Dumelang is Tswana, next to the Botswana border, of course, where I worked for 7 years in the Kalahari Desert, to the southern Kalahari, northwest of South Africa, the Kalahari National Park, previously known as the Gemsbok National Park. Yes, a beautiful area. Please drop a comment if you have visited that, and if you have not, please do. It is incredible. One of the best national parks in the world for predator density. Thanks again for the hearts. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for joining the stream. And we're going to get back to the action. What's happening right here? Mongoose magic moments. And as I like to say, walk with wildlife. We are not the outsiders in a game vehicle, to all my other friends in the world who do game drives. And we used to be called Jeep jockeys in the reserves I've worked in as well. We are not the outsiders looking in at the animals. We're actually accepted by the animals, but they are wild. They accept the research biologists that have got to know over many years. Sir David Attenborough has worked with us on Meerkat Manor and other films up in the Kalahari Desert Study site. So if you've seen any of my films over the last few decades, I'm the guy behind the scenes in science. And that's why I like to bring our live stream audiences these videos, because you never know what you're going to see. That bird I was mentioning earlier is still here. It's following us. It's following her. And as long as she is not alarming at me, as you can see, she's turning her back towards me, which is incredible. Again, I'm over 120 kilograms of 6-foot predator. Yes, she's tiny. She weighs under 800 grams, less than a kilogram. When she stands up, she's only 28 centimeters off the ground. This is her world. Imagine you are only that size, walking around and everything is trying to eat you. Everything is trying to make a living of everything else out here, my friends. And that is why in my book I talk about the hunted hunters. Yes, she is currently hunting. The food that she's looking for, she will dig it out, mainly. It's just beneath the ground. Sometimes it can be over a meter deep, or I should say, under a meter deep, depending on how you like to look at things. All right, it's getting pretty windy here. I hope you can still hear me. And I don't want to go out of our Wi-Fi connection. We've got a limited footprint around the research base, and then I have to go onto mobile data until we can get some Starlink. Elon Musk, buddy, get your Starlink in South Africa, please. Then I will take you up into the remote areas, like up onto that distant riverbank there. All of the areas you can see around you are all part of my study site. As far as you can see, even down to the distant mountains, I have access to all of that. And I can bring you live streams once we have a Starlink satellite system here. That's the plan. Anyway, please watch this space and subscribe. Right now, she is busy sniffing one of the hotels, as I call them. Wildlife hotel. Grant, what are you on about? Some people have said. Have you been in the sun too long, Grant? And it's not so much even of a joke. It's over 45 degrees centigrade here in summer. Sometimes it goes over 50 degrees centigrade and then drops to 0. I'm talking about centigrade, friends out there, not Fahrenheit. Imagine a 50-degree change in what you're used to, temperature-wise. So many animals here live under the ground in holes. We call them the fossorial, or the digging animals, like the meerkats, like the cynictis peniculata, the yellow mongoose species here, again with a white tip to the tail, making it a very distinctive feature. All right, she's patrolling her territory. I'm hoping she will arrive back in the area soon. Diggy, 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 diggy. Diggy, 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 diggy. Diggy, 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 diggy. All right, just calling to her to let her know as she investigates that part of her territory. I don't want to go any further in that direction and lose the signal, my friends. So please just entertain yourselves for a moment longer as I look around to see which direction she is taking. Ah, there's the shrike. Look, it's following us. I mentioned it was following us. All right, let's see if we can get closer to this bird while we wait for her to return. The shrike is watching her. It knows that she's going to... Look. It knows that there's food. Look. It knows if it's around this mongoose, sooner or later, it's going to be able... There she comes, everyone. Look at this. Now, this is uniquely documented by myself. I originally saw certain birds following the animals in the Kalahari Desert. And then it was later filmed by National Geographic. For our ornithologist friends, I'll drop some scientific names for you. Yes. Dicrurus adsimilis and Dicrurus ludwigi, also known as the fork-tailed drongo. That's F-O-R-K, by the way, just for everybody out there. Fork-tailed drongo. So this is Lanius colaris, the fiscal shrike, the butcher bird. Please notice its distinctive black and white marks, hence the Afrikaans name in South Africa for it, die Laxman. Yes, it is not to be confused with the much smaller and the one that has vibrissae, or little what look like whiskers coming out of its beak. The fiscal flycatcher, again fiscal, black and white. All right, here she is. Please notice, this bird is not just here by random chance, everybody, in case you're wondering. This bird is waiting for snacks. And it knows if it suddenly tells her, tick, 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 jump, 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 jump. If it suddenly tells her there's an alarm, even if there's nothing, this is deception. So it is a parasite. It basically pretends there's danger when there's no danger around. It's now taken another perch. But it is part of what I call the neighborhood watch, because in this area, amongst these wildlife hotels, I was talking about this, the reason I call them hotels is they are visited by many different inhabitants in the reserve. Yeah, there's so much happening. You're only seeing a portion of it. I'm watching the area all the time. When I work with meerkat groups of over 20 plus, it gets exceedingly complicated to watch what everyone is doing all the time. And that's what I have to do. So you become a master of multitasking. Brrr, there she is. Tick, 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 tick. I'm going to move closer again over here for a moment to see what the shrike is doing. Pass. Brrr. Tick, 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 tick. She's definitely unsettled at the moment. Tick, 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 tick. But she is hunting. She is hunting. Yeah. All right. So, wildlife documentaries. I've worked with banded mongoose in Uganda, Central Africa, on the equator. In the Queen Elizabeth National Park, groups of 60 plus. It is the most sociable mongoose species on the planet. Then you get the Crossarchus or Kuzi-mansi in East Africa, which is very sociable. The meerkats are regarded by many as a mongoose, but in fact the closest living relatives are the mongooses, genets and civets. A meerkat is a very old kind of mongoose species, and mongooses were apparently amongst the earliest mammals around at the time of the dinosaurs, according to fossil records. Anyway, so these are very, very ancient creatures, and they have adapted to a vast number of habitats, even in Hawaii. Our friend to you out there, aloha. And back to some of our greetings for our other friends. Tick, 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 tick. Again, I'm having to multitask constantly to watch what she's doing, what the predators are doing, and collect data. So, let's just move ahead here. Sawubona unjani gikhona wena unjani nami ngikhona awukuye shisa. Yes, and those are Zulu friends out there. And then, of course, a shout out to our friends from Central Africa. Hujambo, sijambo, habari yangu mzuri sana, rafiki. Asante sana. Safari njema. And again, to our most valuable supporters from Italy, Alessia Torchini, and the president of the Associazione Suricati Italia, big sponsors. Thank you so much to you and all your members. Asia Chile, they have actually visited me all the way from Italy on 2 occasions already. You can find out more information about that. You can see this fiscal shrike hasn't disappeared. It's still here. It's still here. Again, she can be going anywhere at any time. I've, of course, been watching her since 3:30 this morning. Yeah. And this is just a mention to Google, and I have mentioned it a few times, that yellow mongoose are not solely nocturnal. Yeah, you're hearing that from me, friends, because Google says, oh, mongoose, yellow mongoose, diurnal. But in fact, they are also nocturnal, active at night, as well as diurnal, active during the day. I've seen them active at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So that is not diurnal, Google. And of course, they are crepuscular. It's quite a strange one, that one. Many people have asked me, what? I've heard of nocturnal and diurnal, but what is crepuscular? Of course, this is conservation through education right here. It's what we do. We share the information from our scientific publications to help people better understand the beautiful world around us. So, crepuscular, active at dawn and dusk, basically. So, the yellow mongoose species, as you can see here very clearly with a white tip to a tail, is extremely well adapted to a vast array of different habitats, unlike the meerkat. The meerkat is extremely, extremely fussy about where it lives, and that is why, and this is a shout out to you, IUCN, Red Data Book Species, and your incorrect information, and that's a fact, what I'm telling you now, because I've studied 2 of the subspecies of meerkats since 1993 professionally. Yeah, and I can tell you that this particular subspecies that occurs in the Little Karoo Valley is in fact an endangered subspecies because habitat has almost been completely lost due to the colonization back in 1652 with Jan van Riebeeck arriving in Cape Town, spreading throughout the Western Cape, and much of the habitat is now under agricultural practices, and I won't go into more detail right now. Suffice to say, unlike elephants and rhinoceros, that you can follow and document easily also through aerial surveys, you cannot do that with the digging mammals such as these. They simply go underground and you do not see the mammal can easily run into a nearby hole at any time. I was talking about an SSMS earlier, send short message system. These are messages left in scent, basically perfume. Wild animals are putting scent messages all around their territory. I call it smellogram. It's the equivalent of the smellonet, the internet, but of smell. And she is currently marking her territory because recently we had some rainfall. And just like the meerkats have to mark their territory, it can take her many weeks to patrol her territory to make sure she posts messages like, stay out of my territory, you've been warned if you come in here. It's not a good career move. Or, and I'm just using non-scientific terms, those are air quotes by the way, anthropomorphisms or anthropomorphic statements, because I like to use non-scientific terms as well. Yes, or there she's just found a juicy grub by the looks of it, a juicy Coleoptera larva. All right, she's still patrolling. There are so many points that come up during a visit. I'm hoping she returns to the area where internet coverage is better around the base. For now, she often moves around this part of the reserve before she goes off into the wilderness areas where I cannot follow her with mobile data easily. Over here we have the Cape mole rat, what I like to call an earthworm mammal. They are busy aerating the soil. Oh, there you can see how fresh that is. A bit of a tracking lesson for our friends out there who might not be familiar with this. You can see the recently excavated hole over there. All right. There she's standing up on guard. She seems determined to go back into that area. Of course, I have absolutely no control about where she goes. I am mapping her natural movements along with the meerkats that I study. This is called demographic data or population dynamics, the natality, the birth rates and mortality death rates. It's quite straightforward really over long term. This is not a zoo. This is not me going around picking up animals. In fact, I'm a predator. If I was to try and go anywhere near them in that way, they would treat me as such. So I just want them to treat me like an object, like I did back in the Kalahari with the meerkats there as well, that they get used to seeing and hearing over decades. All right, she's still determined to be in that area, so I'm just going to move back into Wi-Fi coverage. I hope my stream is still going. Let me move back here while we wait to see what happens next on this stream. This is just to give you an idea of a wildlife research biologist snapshot into my day. Anything can happen. Well, there's so many people who have joined the stream. Thank you so much. And it's wonderful. This female, and she's not just a code for data collection like female 309, male 208. How tedious. We've been naming animals like Flower of the Kalahari in Meerkat Manor, the Kalahari study site. Many people know that because millions of people from around the world watch that soap opera on my previous studies. Well, but in the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve, I keep it more traditional. And for us who have the different animals here, this dominant female who's just in this bit of tree line over here right now is Gakulu. For our Zulu friends out there, you will know that very well, of course, because her brother was Giabonga. Giabonga Gakulu is thank you very much in Zulu. So, yes, we named that litter thank you very much. That was, in fact, from a sponsor. We've got international sponsors, of course, and anybody is welcome to support our work. But I like to do these behind the scenes in science. It's the man behind the hand. Welcome, everybody, if you've just joined the stream. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I certainly am. The mongooses, not so much, and nor the meerkats, because on overcast days like this is when the predators like Polmeitis bellicosus, the martial eagle, are out and about. Yeah. And Melierax canoris, the pale chanting goshawk, die bleek sinkvalk, and die blauwvalk, Elana ceruleus, black-shouldered kite. You may wonder what's going on with all these funny names, Grant. These are scientific names for those who are not familiar with them. You don't need to be familiar with them, but if you enjoy The Lord of the Rings, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it's one name to rule them all. There are over a dozen common languages in South Africa the last I checked, and I say this often, maybe there are more now. The fact is, if I talk about cynictis peniculata right here, this is the yellow mongoose, the geelmeison, the gilletjie witkwast, and the list goes on and on and on. But every other research biologist, no matter what language they speak, will know exactly which mongoose species I'm referring to. Everything has a scientific name. That plant right there, Setaria verticillata, for example, the klitsgras, the spiky little grass species here, Mesembryanthemum, and I can go on. Everything out here, it's like reading a storybook. When you get to know the different species and not just go, oh, look, trees, everyone, look, but acacia karoo, etc. And we can recognize the different species. We can see which are alien invader plant species, for example. I can tell you more about this while we're waiting for her to make an appearance for our botanist friends. Let's have a little look. This is Tribulus terrestris. Yeah. It has smaller flowers than Tribulus zahiri. Also occurs up in the Kalahari Desert to the northwest of South Africa. And you may wonder why I even mention that, because Tribulus terrestris is often used for our bodybuilder friends out there, and you will know it well if you look at the ingredients. It is also known as the devil thorn, the devilkie. Yeah, so they also occur in this area. They are indigenous, and they're starting to open their flowers. Please note a bit of scientific background info for you out there, my botanist friends. You will know this well. Please note how these flowers are all facing this direction. This is not just by random occurrence. No. This is called phototropism. That's P-H-O-T-O-T-R-O-P-I-S-M, phototropism. What they're doing, even on an overcast day when we cannot see the sunlight, they will follow the movement of the sun from sunrise to sunset, and then they will close again. So right now, all the flowers in this area are all facing the direction of the sun, even though it's behind that cloud right now. They are following it, as is the fiscal shrike following myself and Kakulu. Kakulu does not just have one name. I'm going to see if she's coming out of her little hiding hole over there yet. Once she's finished scent marking everything, she will return to this area. Ah, there she is. She's still foraging. All right, let's change view for a moment, my friends. Welcome everybody out there. All right, I was talking about our Italian friends earlier. Buon pomeriggio. Passa una bellissima giornata, amica. Ciao a tutti. So what we've got over there is the mongoose. I'd also like to say for our martial arts friends out there, she's digging at that hole. Let's have a look. You see that? Try stabilize this TikTok shaky zoom. All right, if I move any closer, I will have no internet connection here, so I have to be careful. I know where the dead zones are. All right, she's definitely doing a lot of digging there. She has to make sure that that hole is ready to use if she has to run into it quickly. We call these escape tunnels or bolt holes. They are all over the area, every 20 to 30, 50 meters apart. They are everywhere. And that is why scent patterns are so important, because the meerkats and mongooses are always scent marking their territory to make sure that they know where the holes are so they can get there quickly in case there's danger. And my friends, there's always danger. Even now you can see how she's standing up. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, everything is trying to make a living off everything else here in the reserve. This is not some little picnic site holiday camp, and as you're visiting, which you're welcome to do, this is, of course, a hunted hunter. She's hunting, but she's also being hunted. Yeah, I mentioned some of those eagles earlier. Now I'm going to tell you about one of the scariest predators a meerkat or mongoose can ever encounter. And if you do not know where the holes are, if you're a meerkat or mongoose, that is what I call a bad career move. If you snooze, you will lose. Literally. That's just a private joke, by the way, because so many people say they can't stand it when people say, oh, literally. So I'm saying it just for fun. Yeah, she just scent marked the territory there. Let me zoom out. Oh, the wobble on this camera right now is ridiculous. That's a bit better. I'll get to my point. The lanner falcon, my friends out there, my ornithologist friends, you will know this as falco, F-A-L-C-O, biarmicus, B-I-A-R-M-I-C-U-S. You can Google this, my friends, in case you're wondering if I'm just making up words, sucking them directly out of this little thumb of mine here. No, falco biarmicus. The peregrine falcon is much faster, almost double the speed. Yes. So I'll tell you about it. Lanner falcon, falco biarmicus, and now the peregrine falcon, falco peregrinus. Pretty much as you said, that's how it's spelled. It is the fastest creature on this rock that we are all currently stuck on. Yes, fellow travelers around the sun. This is the fastest creature on the planet. When I tell you about the peregrine falcon, I am not joking. It can reach speeds over 384 kilometers an hour. It has special nasal adaptations so it does not burst its skull when it is in a steep dive. Of course, the lanner falcon is much slower, only reaching speeds of 180 plus kilometers thereabouts. To put that in perspective for our friends out there who prefer miles, yeah, we're talking about 140, 150 miles per hour. So, who cares? You might wonder, where is this bird? They're all around here. This place is full of them. The reserve. The reason I'm telling you this is she has to watch out, because if you're a mongoose and you're not watching where the danger is coming from and you're looking for food beneath the ground, because there's a hidden world beneath our feet, as I like to say. My shoes, incidentally, have been scent marked by meerkats and mongooses. So I'm like a piece of mobile territory. It's an olfactory association. But that's just by the by. She's watching me again, and she's looking away. I just let her know it's just me, it's still me. I talk all the time or call all the time so they never get a surprise. I've also been fortunate enough to visit and do research with chimpanzee in Kibale rainforest next to Fort Portal in Uganda. I met a research biologist there when I was doing research with Dr. Jason Gilchrist. Shout out to you, my friend, if you're still out there and haven't been trampled by buffalo again. He got trampled twice by wild buffalo, and he also had cerebral malaria, but he survived. I went to visit him in Uganda to see the banded mongoose and help him with research methodology. Anyway, that was back in about 1997. So, getting back to the birds and what's going on here, one point leads to another. If you are out here and you don't know where to run to, my friends, let's do a little test. Please bear with me. Big welcome to everyone who's just joining the stream. Yes, it's the Meerkat Man, the Mongoose Man, the man behind the hand. This is Walk with Wildlife, Mongoose Magic Moments. No, it is not Meerkat Magic Moments today. We're following the Tsebokolori Yellow Mongoose group right now. Yeah, and this is all part of her territory. So, here's the little test. Please do it with me at home. You have 5 seconds, if you are lucky, to escape from a lion, which can reach a 100-meter sprint in under 5 seconds. So forget your 911 Porsche. That is nothing compared to a lion sprinting. But let's go even faster. 384 kilometers an hour from a peregrine falcon. So if we look up in the sky and you see a little speck in the sky, that could be here in a moment. So 5 seconds is what you have if you're a meerkat or mongoose here to find the nearest escape tunnel. That's it. If you snooze, you lose. End of your career. Finished. Game over. So, any time now, these birds can come dropping out of the sky like missiles. And if meerkats and mongooses are not hyper alert, they will not see them, and that will be the end. That is why they do not walk far from escape tunnels such as the ones I've shown you. There's another one there. Yeah. Here's another one. They are always around these escape tunnels because their survival depends on it. There's the fiscal shrike again, my friends who've been watching the stream. Thanks for all the likes and the shares, my friends out there. Appreciate it. Let's zoom in on that bird again. Now, this is not a predator of hers, but it is a parasitic pest because it will make false alarms. Ooh, look, there's danger. And she will run away, leaving her food, and it will then take advantage of it. But she's not foolish. She also learns by association. Yes, what will happen is she will let the bird knows she's seen it. And when it makes an alarm, she will know. It's basically the equivalent of what I call the cry wolf setup. So it's the equivalent of the cry wolf bird. It makes false alarms. That's the reason she's been so nervous. I've just seen it land. Wow, it's well camouflaged. See if we can zoom in. Yes, I see you. Right on the top of that Eskom power line post is a Meerkat canoris. Please do Google that name, Meerkat. Meerkats Canourus. Meerkat canoris. Yes. Oh, she's seen it. She's seen it. Yes. This is the real deal, my friends. This is not a post-edit so-called documentary. Predetermined scripts. This is happening in real time. And right now, out of all the billions of people on the planet, we are the only ones watching wild yellow mongoose. And this is the only place to see one up close like this that is in a study site of decades. Yeah, the fiscal shrike is also nearby. Sitting in a mulberry tree, in fact, right now. But it doesn't eat mulberries. It's not a fructivore. That's Fructivore. Another bit of science for our botanist friends out there. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, it's well camouflaged in that. There you are. I see you, fiscal shrike. It's still waiting for her, and she's still on guard. I saw that, and she has seen it as well. She's not taking her eyes off it. She knows that is basically the equivalent of death. It is death, waiting to make a meal. And in fact, it's also stalking Rhabdomus pumilio, the striped mice, which are so common here. Oh, look, the fiscal shrike has landed. Look how close it is to her. She's not even looking at it. It's not a threat to her unless it makes an alarm and goes, oh, there's a danger, which it will do. It's happened before on live streams. It's checking where she's been digging. There may be some tasty grubs, ant larvae and so on that have been disturbed and will quickly run down along the ground. It often runs along. It doesn't just fly and grab a snack. There it is. I'm just here. I'm less than a few meters away from this wild bird. But because the mongoose is here, I obviously cannot be dangerous. Otherwise, how on earth would a mongoose be next to me? They also take their cues in the neighborhood. Everybody here knows everybody else. They know what is very dangerous if they've survived danger, like from that pale chanting goshawk. Now, Afrikaans friends, for you, die bleek sing valk. Yeah, they often stand up on telephone poles and electrical pylons and so on along roadsides where there's a nice hunting avenue. Look at this. We've got a triangle here right now. We've got a deadly predator to many, many inhabitants in the reserve. We've got another predator, yeah, the yellow mongoose, and we've got another one that has just landed. Where are you now? There you are. Wow, so difficult to see in this light. Yeah, the fiscal shrike. So, quick scientific name throw out for you. Lanius colaris, I mentioned Eluxman, the butcher bird, because it will pin objects like scorpions and even Tinopus garrulus, very large geckos, lizards, onto barbed wire fences or thorn trees, and then return later when they are desiccated. We call it biltong. It's equivalent of jerky, dried out. It uses tools, in other words, to kill its food that is too big for it to eat. I've even seen them catching Rhabdomus pumilio bigger than that bird. Rhabdomus pumilio is the striped mouse. Just by the way, I mentioned it earlier. And then, of course, we've got cynictis penicillata over the yellow mongoose, still staying close to that hole in the ground. Can you see there, my friends? I kid you not. She's busy excavating it to make sure it is ready to use at a moment's notice. Coming back to our test. Welcome everybody who's... Global Bass. Good to see you. Khalid. Sifo. To our Japanese friends who want to visit the dojo up on the hill, let's have a look at that action while we're waiting to see what happens next. Off in the distance, the Stone Dojo Gym. It is open to the public. Let me know if you want to visit. I will take you for a grueling outdoor gym. Doesn't matter who you are and how strong you are, you will know about it if you work outdoors at my gym. So, konnichiwa, totemo yoi tomodachi, minasan. Kurusai, homon, utsukushi. Shotokan Karate Budo Dojo. Domo arigatou gozaimashita. Sayonara. Totemo yoi tomodachi minasan. That's just a little bit of Japanese for our Japanese friends and their dojos, of course. This is a world-famous stone dojo gym. It happens to be in my privately owned reserve, where we are right now. I was up there earlier doing a bit of a gym session before lunch, before returning back to wildlife tracking. And it's such a glorious day. I did not want to deprive our beautiful viewers out there of what is happening in the world of the Mongoose magic moments and, of course, the Meerkat magic moments. All around us, way off in the distance, that is, in fact, a riverbank. Difficult to believe, perhaps, but that's a riverbank, my friends. Lower down is the actual river. Let's have a look this way. That is the Great Black Mountain Range, also known as die Groot Swartberge, to the north in the Little Karoo, the Klein Karoo, where we are now in the Western Cape next to Oudtshoorn. And soon it will be covered in snow, because most of the winter rainfall we get brings along the snow. So in the next few days, we could even have snow on the mountains. Yeah, and then that entire mountain range is white. It's stunning. Big shout out to our friends up there. We just visited there last week. We took a drive up to see the Swartberg Reserve. Shout out again to you, Swartberg Reserve. Beautiful area there with the waterfalls at the moment after the rainfall we've had after an entire year of drought in 2025. You can see the clouds are basically blocking the top of the mountain view right now. And the old man of the mountain, as we like to call him. The guy lying down, looking up at the sky. For those who follow my work, you'll know who I'm talking about. Way off in the distance, a shout out to my neighbor. I'm not going to mention names for privacy, but this entire area is all Meerkat and Mongoose habitat. Way off in the distance, what look like just little bumps. That is, in fact, the other riverbank. So, to put it in perspective, this is an ancient, fossilized riverbed system. And back to the action, or lack of action. Lack of action is a good thing if you're a mongoose or meerkat. Please notice how slowly things can move, and other times how rapidly things can change within seconds or under. Puff adder could be waiting. One of the key and most dangerous of all their predators. So even if they escape the peregrine falcon diving down at them at over 384 kilometers an hour, they could run right into a hole where a puff adder, Bitus aritans. A shout out to our herpetologist friends out there. Please do visit our YouTube site. Thanks for all the views. 57,000 views on that last puff adder video I posted. Of course, the puff adder is an ambush predator, and I was talking about how quickly things can move. They move in under a 30th of a second. It's difficult for me to even comprehend how fast it is, but I've watched it. As I say, watched. It's difficult to even notice it, blurred motion. That's how quickly they can strike. So, it's very, very dangerous for meerkats as well. In case you think, oh, what nonsense, Grant, what are you talking about? The meerkat and the mongoose are immune to snake venom. That is not correct. Larger dosages of that venom can kill them just as easily as it can with anything else. Except the difference is they can tolerate many, many times the dosage that a human could tolerate. When a meerkat gets stung by a deadly scorpion from Parabuthus granulatus or capensis, the Buthidae family, not the Opisthophthalamus, the burrowing scorpions, just for your interest, the big pincid or big cheliped scorpions are usually a lot less dangerous or even harmless with their very narrow tails compared to the Buthidae scorpions. For our arachnid friends out there, yes, I know you're out there. This is an incredible place for seeing wildlife of all types. The fact is, there she's digging again. There's so many interruptions. I keep interrupting myself with more information. It's just ongoing. I wanted to let you see how it is, because there's always something happening out here 24/7. All right, so the fiscal shrike is still watching her. Maybe she'll start digging again. It'll be able to go get some snacks. Yeah. All right, coming back to the spiders I was telling you about. Yeah. The spiders here, we have baboon spiders as well. They're bigger than my hand. Yeah, we can't see that zoomed in so easily. So let me put it in perspective. I've got medium-sized hands, nothing fancy. The fact is, the spiders here can be bigger than that. Yeah. And neurotoxic venom. So that is nerve-attacking venom. The puff adder has cytotoxic venom, to finish that topic off briefly. cell-destroying venom. Neurotoxins attack the nervous system and can result in cardiovascular failure, paralysis, and death, not to be played with. I myself had the unfortunate, I want to say it again, bit of a tongue twister there, experience of getting stung by Parabuthus granulatus, the same scorpion species that meerkats eat every day, and I call it the equivalent of meerkat dessert. I'm going to zoom back into the action there. And of course, the scorpions are eaten by the mongoose here as well. We also have water mongoose, Atilax paludinosus, living here. We also have the small grey mongoose. Yeah. Many name changes, but it's Herpestes ichneumon is the large grey mongoose, Atilax paludinosus, the water mongoose, and then Cape grey mongoose or grey mongoose, small grey mongoose. The names go on and on and on. Galarella palverilenta or Herpestes palverilenta or palverilentis. They keep changing these scientific names which are supposed to remain unchanged. I was saying earlier, Lord of the Rings, supposed to be one name to rule them all. Yeah, please notice how the fiscal shrike hasn't left. It's still here. Yeah, where are you? It's difficult to spot you. There. Can you see them? Yeah, there you go, my friends. There's the shrike. You can see how long this bird just happens to be here. This is not a coincidence. It is waiting for her to find food. And then it will try its luck. Again, non-scientific terms, anthropomorphic statements, get air quotes. So for all the thousands of visitors from around the world who visited me over the decades, a big shout out to you. You'll know I like to use air quotes when using non-scientific terms. All right, going back to the digging. That's what I call house cleaning. Again, non-scientific term. Air quotes, inverted commas. House cleaning. And meerkats do it too. They make sure that the burrow systems they inhabit are clear and ready to use at a moment's notice. Going back to my story about neurotoxic venom from the baboon spider here. Then we have Nudja niviae. Oh, what a beautiful name. Listen to that. Nudja niviae. Yes. Any comments? Please drop one if you know what I'm talking about. What is a Nudja niviae? What species is it? Our herpetologist friends know this in their sleep. The geelslang. The Cape cobra. And filmed many years ago, went viral. That video went viral. Over 1.2 million views. You can see it on my YouTube channel right now. In fact, I've actually put it up again on my main page in under 24 hours. It's probably one of the best conservation views of snakes in recent history. That Nudja niviae is the reason why Google actually pays advertising to us. So right now, this yellow mongoose and that fiscal shrike, that Meliarex canoris, pale-chanting goshawk, are all earning an income for the reserve through advertising. That's right. Through Google all the way in America. And here we are in South Africa, thanks to a snake. Nudja niviae. Neurotoxic venom, Cape cobra. I talked about how snakes are our friends. They are our friends. They're not hunting us. And many people are afraid of the unknown and will not hesitate to kill a snake, even though the snake is doing nothing to them. And in fact, without them, there will be massive rodent plagues and other diseases and so on all around humans. They are not hunting us. So the fact is, all the animals that live here are protected in the reserve by myself. What they do in their usual day and night interactions is, of course, their choice entirely. So we have cytotoxic venom here. Puff adders waiting for meerkats and mongooses in these wildlife hotels. That is why you will not just find a meerkat running into a hole. If there's danger, it first needs to check and sniff the area to make sure that it is freed and safe and that there are no predators waiting for it. I imagine, again, my friends, that 5-second test I was mentioning to you earlier. 5. And I say to you, all right, you're a meerkat, my friends. You've just joined the area. Welcome. You've got under 5 seconds to find the nearest escape tunnel. I've done this with thousands of people over the years from all over the world. And the result is identical with every single visitor. It doesn't matter if they're ambassadors. I've had all sorts of visitors here. It doesn't matter. I don't care where anyone is from. And I don't care about anything except getting the point across about survival right now. And that is, where do you run to in under 5 seconds when you've got a peregrine falcon, or if you're a bit more lucky, one that's going at about half the speed, a lanner falcon, attacking you, and you are running, and you are running. But where do you go? Where do you go? Where is the nearest escape tunnel? Now, I know where they all are, but I've been here for decades, and I've learned from the wildlife. They know where they are because they follow the smell, the scent trails, unless the rain has washed them away. Yes, and you, if you've been watching the stream for a while, will also know these are all escape tunnels here. But now, if you did not know that and you just arrived in the area and you suddenly run into an escape tunnel, which you can see how much time she's spending renovating, making sure it's ready to use, and she keeps watching in that direction. She keeps looking off up onto that pole because she knows there's that predator sitting there. And any change, the physical shrike will also make an alarm. That's why sometimes it actually benefits, and that's why she can't afford not to check if it makes an alarm. Maybe there is danger that time. Another time she runs off and leaves her food, and the physical shrike benefits. And this is the seesaw interspecies relationship in action that we see. So out here, silence is deadly. Yeah. If there's not sound, there's something going on, because predators are very stealthy. And if they are now stalking an animal, the animals will also become silent, quite often to avoid detection. And then you know something is going down, basically, in the hood. Yeah, the neighborhood. The Meerkat and Mongoose neighborhood. This is a deadly neighborhood. I've already mentioned 2 extremely venomous species. Just incidentally, for our herpetologist friends, this is a shout out for you. I hope you appreciate it. There's Lanius scolaris up there again. Yes, we talk about venom and we talk about poison. It is not the same thing. Venom is injected basically through the teeth of the snake. Yeah, the fangs. Poison is swallowed or ingested like a toxic toad. All right. So please don't go, oh, and you do get some snakes that are venomous and poisonous. They have poison in their skin, for example. But quite often people say, oh, the snake is poisonous. Yeah, just please check on that. That's a bit of jargon. And for our pedantic herpetologist friends, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, just to get that point out there. Physical shrike. Oh, look, look, look. It's still there. It's taken another perch. This is common for these birds. But what most people will never see, and I promise you, if you're walking through an area and if you've spent time in Africa, you'll know what I'm talking about. You're unlikely to see a wild meerkat or mongoose at all. And if you do, you might only see them for a few seconds from hundreds of meters away, if you are extremely lucky. The only reason I'm seeing this long interaction and sharing it with you is because of my relationship with the animals here, because I'm just like them. When it comes to being a member of this neighborhood, I was talking about silence. Yeah, there's no alarming going on right now. They're just watching. Something can happen at any time now. That physical shrike and that yellow mongoose are watching that, and it's still there. Pale chanting goshawk. It's waiting. It's waiting. Any mistake can be deadly out here. It's not a joke, my friends. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about any of it anyway. Even if I wanted to intervene, I cannot. These animals only accept my presence as a noisy object. That's it. Nothing else. There are no radio transmitters or collars like BioTrack's collar system from Britain and Telonics from America back in the 90s. We use these in the Kalahari Desert. Here I don't use radio transmitters. It's all about following the animals over decades to get to know all of their different secretive pathways. So this is not one of the places that she just stays in all day and all night. No. This is one of dozens and dozens of holes all around the reserve. She just happens to be next to my Meerkat mansion right now. There you can see the antenna up on the roof, and a big shout out to South Cape Wireless. And don't tell me, please, that I don't ever mention you guys. My sponsors out there, I appreciate you. And thanks to everyone for your views. I'm loving having you here today as we watch things unfold. Opa Shafiak, Hansi 17, Kavia Christopher, Hot Sauce, Sure. Yes, you never know who's joining our stream. Of course, that's why I enjoy our wildlife stream so much. Please do consider joining our fan club. And please do carry on sharing with your friends. As I mentioned before, I do not announce when my live streams are going to be, because I'm doing wildlife research every day and night. So when there's a chance, like there is now, and things are a bit more calm between data collection, I will bring you a stream, but it can be at any time. If you're watching on the YouTube channel of mine, my main channel, with over 2 million views, as I mentioned earlier, and thanks to everybody for making that possible. And of course, the Cape Cobra, Najanivia, with 1.2 million views, made a big chunk of that possible. And many of our viewers, thanks to all our Indian viewers, yeah, because that viral video happened mainly because of you guys and gals out there. Thank you. All right, going back to what's happening. Can you see she's starting to move away from that entrance, but she doesn't want to leave the area, clearly, and she's spending more time digging. It's quite unusual to see this behavior at this time of the day. This is usually a behavior we'll see first thing in the morning. I'm talking very rapidly because there's so much information. It's like massive info overload here, because all around us things are happening at lightning speed. All right. Usually in the afternoons, the meerkats have eaten well, or when they return to a burrow, they might do a little bit of digging, but it's quite often in the morning, and I do call it digging aerobics or hotel maintenance for that reason. There you can see her digging, digging, digging. I would love to take you closer, but I'm afraid I will lose the signal until we get Starlink here from our dear friend Elon Musk. Please do bring it out to South Africa and organize with the government to get that going. I know some people have it, but it is illegal right now to have it in this country, even if you're using a VPN. If you're caught with it, you're in for it. So yeah, but hopefully we'll be able to bring you, I really do hope it will happen, broadband live stream on my mobile device in the future. Then I will take you for 20+ kilometer hikes into my wilderness areas here and show you things that few people have ever seen. Deep wilderness spaces reserved for the film crews I work with. And I think it would be unfair not to mention some of them out there. If you're watching Nigel Marvin from Discovery Channel, hello out there. If you're watching Simon King from BBC, Sir David Attenborough, yes, you've been on our study sites. And of course, Henry Cole, First Class South Africa, Richard Goss, big shout out to you, incredible filmmaker and films that he has done. We've had the great privilege of working with him in the Kalahari Desert. And then, who else can I think of off the top of my head? Oh, Nick Stringer from National Geographic. Yeah, don't want to forget you, National Geographic. Yes, all right, let's get back to the action here. Yellow mongoose, white tip to the tail. Even here, you should be able to see how that distinctive white is standing up on her tail. And again, this is why I mentioned earlier, my friends, on Google, you can Google cynictis penicillata to the yellow mongoose and ask about activity periods. And at the moment, the information will come back as it is diurnal. It is not only diurnal. The meerkat is strictly diurnal. The suricat, suricata, the suricato, because it has a black tip to the tail. It's easy to distinguish in the daytime. This is for an animal that is active at day and night, and the white tip to the tail is very easy for others to see of its species at night. The tail will puff up. This is called pilo erection. Pilo, P-I-L-O. Hair, pilo. Yeah, and meerkats do it as well. They puff up their tails. The yellow mongoose, when it puffs up its tail, that is a warning signal. And then the white tip is easy to see. Even in Botswana, to the north of South Africa, the cynictis species up there is distinctly easy to identify, even though that subspecies is gray, but it has a white tip to the tail. And it is not a small gray mongoose, and it is not a slender mongoose. The slender mongoose also has a black tip to the tail. And again, I'm just mentioning some common names. All right, she's starting to relax. She's starting to dig up some food, just superficial digs. At the moment, there are lots and lots of termites out and about. Just for our friends out there, entomologists again, in case you are unfamiliar both with termites, the termite is not an ant. It is not an ant. No formica, niente. Inseti, the termite is in fact related to the bakorots, cockroach. Yeah, the kakkerlak. I love that name, kakkerlak. Yeah, it is not an ant. The name reismeer, would be translated directly for termite as rice ant. It is descriptive because it looks white, but it is in fact not an ant. Ants will eat it. All right, TikTok is sending me a drag the puzzle piece into place because it thinks I'm a bot. No, TikTok, I'm real. I'm actually here. This is not AI. All right, there she is moving off. But please don't be deceived, or as my one friend in the Kala used to say, don't make a mistake. Because if you do, you snooze, you lose. It's the end of your career if you are a prey item. That bird of prey is sitting there this whole time, just waiting stealthily. And she knows it's there. Look, my friends, you see how close she is to that pipe in the ground. She's been making sure it is ready to use at a moment's notice. Oh, it looks like I'm getting some kind of a withdrawal symptom, my friends. That's shaking. It is the Zoom, unfortunately. I would love to go closer that way, but then I will use the mobile data, which is too slow for the stream. So I'm not going to go out of reach of that massive antenna. That antenna up there is so that we can get the signal all the way over that distant riverbank. Oh, look, some of our flyers have come to join us. Yeah. Everything is trying to make a living of everything else. I'm not bothered by them. These flies are not full of diseases or anything. Oh, have a look for our little insect friends out there. Yeah, look, there's one of them. Come say hello to our friends, our international viewers fly. Anyway, just some of the inhabitants here coming to say the equivalent of what I call hello, checking the territory. They'll be moving along soon. Ecosystem, my friends, everything is in balance here. The predators are active, the prey items are active 24/7. Oh, in the distance I hear one of our very rare bits of rush hour traffic. Please notice how quickly she reacted to that noise. Look at that. People don't often realize the impact on wildlife because they don't see the animals. I was talking about elephant and rhinoceros and some of the larger prey species that you can do aerial surveys with. You cannot do that with these animals for this exact reason. That's a motorbike making that racket. It's kilometers away, and yet the sound is traveling, and she is reacting to it. Yeah, any unfamiliar sound, and she's going back to digging. Yeah, that motorbike has alarmed her. Please notice how she's not even looking this way when I make that loud sound. Now she's looking because I'm letting her know it's me. She's just checking. In a moment's time, she'll look away again. You can measure this individually. Nobody on the internet has heard how loudly I can call because sometimes the animals are many kilometers away, many miles away, and they hear me coming. I say, it's me. It's the same noisy object research biologists you've noted in the area noticed for many decades. I'm going to drop some other sounds for you. Please do practice these. Sound test. Check, check. Mic check. She won't react to that because that is in fact meerkat sound. I won't make that around meerkats. There are over 36 different sounds I've documented over the decades with meerkats. It is like a language, hence the nickname again, the Meerkat Man. However, the sound is a sound I developed back in '93 already, and I've even used it with banded mongoose in Queen Elizabeth Park, Uganda, surrounded by the Ruwenzori Mountains, Kazinga Channel, and the Virungas. If you've been there, please drop a comment. Yeah, what beautiful names. Ruwenzori, Virunga, next to the Katunguru or Katunguru village. Anyway, moving on. So, the sounds. All the people who've ever worked on our research sites have had to make these sounds. If you don't make the sounds, you can't get near the animals. These are audio codecs. It doesn't help if they cannot hear me because I'm behind dense vegetation, they cannot see me. So if I'm always talking softly like this, my friends, and going brrr, that's of no benefit whatsoever to the wildlife here. I'm saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Now, meerkats, when they are digging around, and I will imitate some of the sounds since they're not currently here. These are what we call contact calls. There will be one up on guard quite often, and they'll make a sound like, that's a single note call. a single note, one sound, and it means there's no danger. And they'll make it intermittently every few seconds. Then we have a double note. Please try it at home. Or triple note. Or multiple note. If there is danger, they will be able to identify whether it's in the air. She's gone into the pipe now briefly to check it out. And she's out again, putting an SSMS back there. Send short message system, my friends. Yes. They will let everyone know there's something in the air. And they'll make a sound we call a basic alarm. That means I've seen something. And just like she's standing up now, all the meerkats will stop whatever they're doing, because again, most of their food is under the ground. Sometimes it's under 2 meters deep. It could be a juicy scorpion or Tinopus, garrulus, the barking gecko. For those who have been in the Kalahari Desert, you will know this sound. Tuck, 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 tuck. Tuck, 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 tuck. Tuck, 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 tuck. It's a deafening chorus at sunset from the barking gecko, which is a primary food item for meerkats and mongooses in that area. Point is, they will identify predator in the air, and as it gets closer, the sound will increase, and any animal that's digging for food under the ground will stop and look up. They cannot all be watching for danger, then they will all starve, and at some point they'll have to look for food. And the martial eagle flying in this area, or the pale chanting goshawk, or the lanner falcon, the peregrine falcon, black-shouldered kite, and others, and there are many predators here, will find them. So it is essential for animals who are diurnal at the moment, although she'll also come out at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but the meerkats are completely diurnal. She has a horizontally slitted pupil. All right, she's coming this way. It looks like she's finished renovating that area. Yeah, and the physical shrike is still in the area. I know where she's going. And the good news is we might get a much closer look at her soon. Please stick around, my friends, because she looks like she is leaving that hole. She's done a renovation session there, a bit of work. All right, so alarm calls. When a meerkat sees something in the distance, everyone will stop what they're doing, now that I've explained that, pull their heads out from under the ground where they were looking for food, and they will immediately react. They know they need to get to safety potentially in a matter of seconds. But that is only a worry call. The predator could be many kilometers away when that sound is made. Even as research biologists, and I've tested this with many of my colleagues, including Professor Tim Clutton-Brock, all the way from Cambridge University, when we've looked up at the sky and only seen a little speck with 10 or 12 times magnification binoculars on it, we still haven't been able to identify what it is. And they know if it's a harmless bird species like a water bird, which is not a predator to them, or the deadly to them martial eagle. I mentioned this name a few times, Polmeitis bellicosus. Lovely name that. Anyway, the point is, as it gets closer, the sounds will change from the frequency will change. It'll become faster and more pronounced, more urgent. Now, those are 4 different sounds I just mixed together. Now, she's not looking at me. She's not a meerkat. That sound doesn't mean anything to her. However, if a meerkat had to run and she was watching it, she will also run. You basically react first, ask questions second, friends. And if you decide, no, I'm just going to have a look around, and I don't believe that sound that you just heard, if you're a meerkat, well, you will not be around for long, I can guarantee it. That is why, and here's a bit of a fact for you, for our meerkat friends. Meerkats' dominance, hierarchy, who the leaders are, is determined by the alpha female and male, by experience. Not about how big and strong they may look. No. The old meerkats who could live to 5 or 7 or 8 years in the wild, which is a very old age already for them, even though meerkats can live over 15 years in captivity. Yeah. Well, they are the ones who know where the escape tunnels are. They have survived everything, and they pass this knowledge on to the next generation. Meerkats have a matriarchal structure. The females are the leaders and not the males. And not many people have asked me about this, except a few out of thousands of questions since the 90s. And that is, meerkats also have what is called a matrilineal structure. Yes, not simply matriarchal, matrilineal as well. The daughter inherits from the mother, and a daughter will stay in a group one day to try and outlive everything to become the dominant female. She will not breed with her father. There's no incest or inbreeding in wild meerkats. That would cause a genetic mutation or mutant alleles, and a population could go extinct. Just a bit of fact here for you. So the dominant male will leave and another male will move into the territory. And this is happening all the time. Males are not from that territory if they are a dominant male. They have moved there from another territory. If they are born in an area, they will not breed with their mothers or sisters. They will leave and go in search of unrelated females. So this constant cycling and shuffling between migrant coalitions of males is happening even right now as I speak, all around us in this area. And there is a war going on with meerkats and mongooses. There's no tolerance from one meerkat group to another. Interspecies rivalry is at its maximum. They will even kill each other if they find each other. Yeah. Many people go, oh, cute, cuddly, adorable, all inverted commas, non-scientific terms here. Yes. Meerkat, oh, look how nice it is, standing up, watching out for danger for everyone. That is a lot of nonsense, my friends. Meerkats are absolutely vicious killers in the wild, and you're hearing it here for the first time perhaps on the internet. I'm telling you this now after decades of studying them. They will not hesitate to attack a meerkat from a different group. There's zero tolerance because it is a battle for survival. They are scent marking their territory, just as we've been seeing her doing, to keep everybody else out of their territory unless there's a breeding opportunity. For example, the dominant female dies one day. Her daughter becomes the new leader. As I mentioned, matrilineal, matriarchal. She inherits. Now what happens, as I've discussed this in great detail in my Meerkats book, you can pick up a good copy, or a copy rather, in a good bookstore or library or university anywhere in the world. Check out Meerkats by the Meerkat man, Grant McIlrath. It is the first conservation book ever done on meerkats. It's a fact. Anyway, moving on. So, the meerkats who are up on guard make an alarm. Everyone reacts, but there's another alarm. Yes, there's one which I'm going to make now, very softly here, because it is again not her language. It's not a yellow mongoose call. They have different sounds, which I won't make her when I'm around her. I don't want her to think I'm a yellow mongoose. I'm just a noisy object. So she knows where I am. Please notice how she's not looking at me. She doesn't need to. She knows I'm here. Yeah, the fiscal shrike has just made an alarm call. I see it's moved further onto the pole. There it is. It's warning because it is also potential prey for that pale chanting goshawk only about 40 meters away from it. Yeah, that's a warning call from the fisk. That's why she's standing up. That chirp, chirp, chirp. It's not its usual whistling sounds, and she knows, so she's on high alert. Anyway, going back to what is called a warning for an animal that is on the ground. In other words, not an aerial predator. Ah, she is looking at me because that's a different sound now, but it's not one she recognizes because she's not a meerkat. If you make the sound around a meerkat, please understand you will disturb it. So I'm not saying this, you're hearing it here, to teach you how to go and disturb meerkats in zoos and so on. I'm explaining how to recognize different sounds. So that is something they know is on the ground. They immediately will not be looking up in the air. They will look on the ground. They will get ready to run. All right, a few other calls for your interest. I've mentioned the contact calls of the meerkats. Or. They'll be making this all the time. And I'm not talking about once every few minutes. This is constant. Meerkats are incredibly noisy animals. And if you have not been around a meerkat, and I'm talking about wild meerkats, you will not understand just how noisy they can be. I can hear them sometimes from 150 meters away if they have babies, shouting for food, basically, wee, 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 feed me, feed me, feed me. And the baby who calls the loudest gets fed the most. It's as simple as that. Yeah, it really is. When a meerkat is making the sound like or, it is not because it has dementia or is calling randomly. These sounds let everybody know where they are, and I'm using the same concept when I work with wildlife to let them know where I am too, so they don't have to waste their time and energy looking to see where the noisy research biologist is or film crew. Yeah, so or. That sound becomes louder and louder as meerkats get closer together. So in other words, with proximity, frequency and volume of the call increase. This is a warning to the other meerkats. Yes, my friends who thought what I was saying earlier was strange. You say, oh, it's not the adorable or cute meerkat, inverted commas, non-scientific term, anthropomorphic statement as I've been mentioning. That's the fine print, just by the way. Yes, when a meerkat is making that sound, it is saying, this is my food. This is my food, or this is my food, or this is my food. This is mine, mine, mine. This is not for you. They are not sharing the food with the other meerkats. So when you see meerkats moving along together and think, oh, look at them, we're all getting on so beautifully. Oh, they're so cute and adorable. Look at how they're all walking together. Listen to all the talking, basically, the noises. No. There is a fragile alliance. They are hunting, and when they are hunting, they are saying, this is my food. This is my food. We know this because as they get closer together, the sound increases. Now, conversely, you would think the sound would become softer because they surely can hear it more easily when they are closer. No, because it is a warning. And as they get closer, the sound will start becoming a growl. I'll make it briefly and softly here. Yeah. And then they will use their bodies as barriers to push against each other, to warn each other, stay away, this is my food. Interestingly, a dominant animal like a male or female, the alpha pair, can go up to anybody in a meerkat group and simply take their food. And they will not attack the dominant male or female. And the babies are the highest ranking of everybody. Beyond the dominant male and female, they can go up to anybody and basically demand food, and they will take it. And if it is not given to them, they will snatch it and bite noses and ears and hold on to an adult who will not attack them. It is an incredible aspect of meerkat behavior, and that is why they are known as cooperative, sociable breeding mammals. They all help to raise the young together, even if they are not their own babies. Because in fact, something most miraculous happens with meerkats. The dominant male and female are usually the ones who raise a litter of young successfully, and most of the animals in the group we call babysitters. And no, they are not only females. For people out there who thinks that is the case, that is not correct. Males can babysit as well as females. An animal can go for an entire day without any food being a babysitter when it comes to meerkats. And people have thought many times, well, why? Why is that animal doing it? Why doesn't the animal next to it do it who ran off that morning in search of food? Because, and it took over 7 years to answer this scientifically, and the information is in our Royal Society publications. You can get all of these online if you want to get into the detailed reading. It is based on condition. I'm going to drop a science bomb here for you. Maybe that's a poor choice of words on the internet. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to drop an interesting bit of scientific information that took over 7 years to discover. Why do some meerkats climb up on guard when the one next to them doesn't? No, it is not the same one who does it again, and it could be anybody. So why does that one do it? Sometimes climbing up into trees over 8 meters high in the Kalahari Desert, like Acacia areoloba, the camel thorn tree. Ja, die kameeldoringboom. Why is that meerkat up on guard, not the one next to it? Because of condition. If you're a meerkat and you eat well, it makes sense to go and stand up on guard so you can watch out for danger. Your basic needs have been met. You are no longer hungry. Animals who are hungry will carry on looking for food. This is not a sentinel. It is not a specific role. It is not a turn, as many people have incorrectly assumed. No, it is based on condition. In other words, good condition is a primary influencer of cooperation when it comes to the meerkat, the surrogate. So animals in good condition can guard more frequently, and they are taking good care of themselves. I'd like to make a shout out to Mandy Young, if you're out there or see this. We worked together for many years. She is an ecotherapist, psychologist who specializes in working in nature with animals and bringing people together so that they can better understand that there's a great sense of relaxation and feeling at peace when you're in nature and you are just spending time with it. Like now, this whole time we've been doing a live stream. This live stream is already wildlife history, by the way, on the internet. There's no other live stream this long on yellow mongooses right now. And you're part of this history, my friends. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for the likes and shares, by the way. There she's back up on guard. All right, there are many topics, as you've no doubt heard if you've been here for a while. So, Mandy Young worked with elephants, dolphins, wild dogs, and as a guest of mine with the meerkats. And she was telling me, and this is a fact, for those who are on aircrafts or have been flying around, you might be in one right now watching this, anywhere in the world, in fact, they say put on your oxygen mask first if something happens. That is called good self-care. And it is not the same as selfish behavior. It is good self-care. The meerkat up on guard, and we found this out over many thousands of hours and many years of studying hundreds of different meerkats, is the closest one to an escape tunnel. Even now, when we've been watching the yellow mongoose here, when she goes up on guard, she is close to the escape tunnel, and she is digging and digging. She's doing a lot of digging because she knows there's a predator nearby, as do we. If you saw it land earlier, it's still there. And even now, let's go back to our other friend. The fiscal shrike is still there watching the predator. It is better to know where the predator is than be surprised. That is good self-care. So the animal who has eaten well is going to take good care of itself. Everybody benefits, just like with humans, from an individual who's practicing good self-care. Because when they do well, everybody else around them also does well. In other words, the one who has eaten well looks out for danger while the food is digesting. And anybody who thinks a meerkat up on guard is always the same meerkat, let me pose this question to you very briefly, please. Why would only one meerkat be doing the guarding all the time when everybody needs to remain safe? When that one is hungry, who's going to then guard? It can't guard all the time. So it is not the same one. It is not a turn now for the other one. It is not a role. It's not a speciality. All of them can guard. It is based on good condition. If they've eaten well, they can guard. Even babies don't have to go looking for food when they've eaten well. They just don't have the experience of the older animals. But they will still guard. Even babies guard. But they will alarm at everything because they don't know any better yet. She's standing up right now. That is a visual alarm. Why? Because we have a whole lot of birds flying past. Yes. Beautiful. Ah, our little Cape sparrows and domestic sparrows flying together. Again, safety in numbers. Social vigilance. For her, as an individual mongoose right now, it is extremely dangerous. Oh, this hand needs a break, holding this device for such a long time. Anyway, I should bring out a GoPro and just strap it to my head, then I won't have to bother with it. And back to the story here. So those birds that just flew past made her stand up on alarm because they could have been flying from a predator. She's all by herself right now. I know where the other mongooses are because I've been studying them for years. Right now, about 400 meters from here is another escape tunnel, and it is a different mongoose territory, and there is a male mongoose there right now. You may know him with the name of Novolino. He is world famous, which means little cloud, Novolino, in Italian. And that brings me back to her name. You can Google her. It amuses me because her nickname given to her by one of our Italian sponsors is Cucciolina, which, as our Italian friends out there will know, of course, is little puppy. Oinky, plain oinky. And if you Google Cucciolina, you're going to see this mongoose's picture come up under images and on videos before actual little puppies living in Italy. I find that fantastic. Here's a mongoose in South Africa called Little Puppy that is more famous than actual little puppies in Italy. So, thanks to our sponsors. So this beautiful superstar mongoose right now that we have been following the story of for many years is busy making sure her escape tunnel there is ready to use. Brrr. All right, there's been a big change suddenly in light. Let's have a look across the valley here. Yes, ooh, we can see the great Black Mountain Range at last. Look at that. That is what I call the old man of the mountain. Some people call it the giant. Die slapende reus. Gets covered in snow, and then it's white there for the old man of the mountain name. If you look just from the left of the screen, that's the forehead, the eye socket, the nose, the lips. Please drop a heart. Can you see it? Yes, lying down, looking up at the sky. Looking up at where Artemis has just returned from. Isn't that incredible? Like I said, they were out. We are still all on the same rock. There's no escape for us. Yeah, not for now at any rate. So, we are all fellow travelers. She's a traveler. The fly that landed on me earlier was a traveler. The pale chanting goshawk, the fiscal shrike, and they're all just trying to make a living. Yeah, a big shout out to everyone joining. Thank you, Mogale. ROV. Let me scroll up here while I'm checking out who's joining us right now. Oh, Bertie Albertus. Hey, I like your name. That's a good one. Your parents chose well there. Godfrey. Sibusiso. Masibu. Mariska Boyson. GBD. Yo, there's so many. Thousands. Thanks so much for joining the stream, my friends. In case you're wondering what's going on, yes, we are still watching the Yellow Mongoose film star there. Gakulu Kuchiolina. And then her next name, Cenerentola, which means Cinderella. She survived an incredible fight with another mongoose group. And if you check out the YouTube channel, you can actually see this aftermath where she was covered in blood. Yeah, the real deal, the real story. People have visited her from thousands and thousands of miles away to see this mongoose here. It's not just a yellow mongoose. She is super famous. Her mother, where the name of the group comes from, Tsebokolodi, which is the Tswana name for the millipede, which is an arthropod. An arthropod, a segmented animal, is a detritivore. It eats rotting vegetation, detritus or detritus. It is not the centipede, a honnerpoot. It is a dacenpoot. It is not the centipede, which is dorso-ventrally flattened and a predator. All right, she looks like she's moving through there. Good. We'll be able to see her come out fairly soon, and then I'll move to a different location at last. It's all about being patient as a wildlife research biologist. We don't have a say in what the animals do. We just document it. That's why I say this is not the AI. This is real. And there's no post-edit. I don't have time to go and edit lots of videos anymore. So I do a live stream, and then what you see is what you get. It's as simple as that. And that's how I like it. Especially in this day and age with AI constantly confusing people when it comes to what is real and what isn't. And definitely there's a lot of misinformation out there. All right, just coming back to this story briefly. We're going to move along. Let's take a different view. Again, I can't see her, so I'm letting her know where I am. There she is. Huh? All right, she's back in the pipe. All right. Hopefully, she's moving through this area and we'll get to see her. It's very difficult. This part of the reserve has lots and lots of thick vegetation. Incidentally, for our botanists, there she is, there she is, there she is. Look, my friends. Yes, there she is. Yeah, stick around. Yeah, oh, she's gone back to that escape tunnel on the other side. Zoom in again. There, can you see her? Yeah. Thanks again for all the likes, my friends. Appreciate it. Mongoose magic moments. Walk with wildlife. And I come back to what I was talking about when I said Tsebokolodi earlier. There's so many points that come out. Tsebokolodi was her mother, and she was seen on the Super Bowl back in 2010 with our BMW International, and that is correct. If you're wondering why I say that, BMW, the car, International, has our film on their website. There was 5 films, short films called BMW Unscripted. You will see the Ungulungu Meerkats that I've studied since 2001 here, and the Tsebokolodi Yellow Mongooses around my BMWs that I had back then. I brought BMWs out into the wilderness. They were covered in mud. Nobody could believe it. And even BMW International, and this is a fact, you can Google it. BMW Unscripted Grant, Grant, that's me. And you will find it. That was shown on the Super Bowl and watched by millions. Her mother was watched by millions. It's a fact. And even now that film is available. Let's see if we can go around. Check out any BMW site and you'll be able to find it. All right, let's move along. Let's see if she's come out. Doesn't seem to want to move away far from that area. Oh, there she is. All right, she is moving up slowly to this part of the reserve. Of course, those who have been watching the stream for a while know I can stand right next to her and sit right next to her. She knows me extremely well. She's still marking her territory. It's a You can try these calls if you'd like. Incidentally, if anybody ever does see this and wants to come out and visit, nobody is allowed to visit if they do not make some of the contact sounds. Because if a mongoose comes up to us or a meerkat and you do not make the correct sounds when you're with me, you will not be able to see them. They will simply run from you. And that is why every film crew I've ever worked with since '93 has to make the same sounds to get near the animals. So I was telling you earlier about one of the sounds. I'm going to give you a crash course in this. There are 2 fiscal shrikes now that are following her. Please notice. Zoom in there. There's one. And, oh, it's difficult to see it probably. There's the other one. Close by. She's just gone back there for a moment. All right, crash course. Haha. That's very easy. For our rapper friends as well, you'll be able to get that without a problem. Then it becomes haha. Now we go a bit faster. 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 Now. And then. If you can practice that, you're starting to get the sound for everything is fine, which is basically meerkat. All right, let's have another look around to see what's happening. Oh, it's such a beautiful day here. Temperature is about 18 degrees centigrade. I'm in fact wearing unusual, instead of a tank top and shorts and sandals, I'm wearing my winter clothes now because this morning was icy cold. The temperature was about 12 degrees centigrade. For me, that is freezing. Even 26 or 27 degrees centigrade is cold for me. I'm used to temperatures over 48 degrees centigrade. Yeah, because the animals I study in the Kalahari Desert and here in the Little Karoo, Klein Karoo of South Africa, frequent these areas of extreme temperature variations. Under the ground in the burrows, it's about 10 degrees warmer than it is on the surface. So it's basically like a blanket in winter. And in summer, it's like an air conditioning unit. That's how I like to describe these wildlife hotels. Now, last time I did a live stream, the signal cut out around here, so I'm very reluctant to go too far in here. But there's a jungle of Setaria verticillata grass. Unfortunately, it is a pioneer species and it's in a disturbed area. This is, in fact, an area with onions. For our agricultural friends, yes, Allium cepa. Not to be confused with Allium sativum, which is garlic. Same family, though. As you can tell from the scientific names. All right, I'm moving back. Out of reach of the Wi-Fi signal if I had to go closer down there. But I'm not going to end the stream now because I know how things can change very quickly out here. All right. Is she still there? Is she still down there in the pipe? All right, she's definitely moved to a different area, possibly moving through the vegetation here. Now, I know her territory, and I know that she's not going to be staying away from this area for too much longer. The question is, where is she right now? So, while I'm waiting, and I'm going to continue the stream, because this is not just about watching a mongoose, It is about understanding what it is like to study a wild mongoose. She could be anywhere in this area, and yet we have been watching her for easily over 30 plus minutes. My question to you would be simply this. Go out and find the meerkats that live here in the reserve. They live in an area over 10 kilometers, so they could be anywhere in that area. It's like a needle. No, it is like a well-camouflaged needle in a haystack, a giant haystack. That's what it's like to do my work as a wildlife research biologist without using radio collars or transmitters. I call them visual pollutants. I don't like to look at animals that have these markings on them, even with research, because there are alternatives. And if any of you out there who are research biologists don't agree, you're very welcome to message me about that. I have spent over 30 years studying animals, and I've used transmitters, and I've also gone without. So I can tell you from experience that it is not always the only solution for wildlife tracking. All right now, she's in the dense vegetation here, most likely. She may make an appearance. I'll let the stream continue for a bit longer. I'm going to tell you more about the area while we wait to see what happens next. The Outeniqua mountain range. Bit of a tourism shout out. Hello Jaapie Venter. Goeiemiddag, ek hoop dit gaan goed daar by jou. Robbie, Tamara, just seeing some of our recent visitors. Good to have you with us on the stream. It's a beautiful day here in the Little Karoo Valley, die Klein Karoo. Yes, I see a person walking past in the distance there. And that will also explain where our yellow mongoose is, because she has run to cover to get away from a stranger that she does not recognize. When I am around the meerkats and mongoose, if they see any other human, even from a kilometer or more away, they will run to get away from them. That is how they go undetected. It's a secretive world out here. The animals simply go underground. That's why we're saying the IUCN Red Data Book species data is inaccurate when it comes to the digging animals. Here she is, my friends. All right, for those who have been patient, thank you. For those who are just joining the stream, welcome, my friends. This is Mongoose Magic Moments. Brrr. Yes, there we go. Brrr. Yes. Tsabokolodi. Group. Dominant female. Gakulu, Cucciolina, Cenorentola, Tsabokolodi. And she's digging up. Let's see what it is. All right. Please notice how she was dragging that on the ground. Now I can tell you immediately, therefore it is not a juicy grub, a Coleoptera larva, beetle larva. It is most likely something that was trying to bite her or use chemical defenses. Now I'm not collecting data on what she's eating right now, so otherwise I would be following her within a meter. She's being very alert. Please remember I mentioned earlier a bit about anatomy. She has horizontally slitted pupils, like that of a goat, not vertically slitted like that of a cat. Her eyes are orangey red. Please look at some of my profile pics of them. Ooh, she just found a tasty snack right there. It looked very tasty because she grabbed it very quickly. Yeah, there's a lot of food. Please also notice for our botanist friends earlier, I was saying Tribulus terrestris, this flower species right here, which for our bodybuilder friends out there, fitness friends who will know from Waypro. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Tamara, yes, and Quint, yeah. For our botanist friends, these flowers are using phototropism right now, the movement of the sun, and they will follow it from sunrise to sunset. Please notice from earlier in the stream, those who've been watching for a while will have noticed how the flower has been moving as the sunlight has moved substantially. I will be putting this TikTok live stream on my YouTube channel as well. For those who missed the start, please do check out the YouTube channel. It has over 2 million views already, over 1,700 plus videos. When I have more time, I'll be doing more live streams again. Thanks again, Tamara. Hey, I really appreciate you. Thanks so much. Hearts to you as well. I'd do 2 fingers there to make the heart, but then I'd have to drop the phone. Edwin, hello Edwin, good to see you as well. Tamara being very supportive there, I really appreciate that. Hey, Jackie, welcome to the stream. Please do go on to the YouTube channel. You can send a comment on any of the videos there and I will get back to you. I usually check that every few days. depending on wildlife research schedules here. And as you can see, my schedule is determined by the wildlife. All right, she's coming up to investigate one of her other burrows. Fortunately for them, that pale chanting goshawk has not attacked. Let's just zoom in there. Yeah, this is pretty much where we started. What is it, over an hour already? Thanks for over 1,000 views already, my friends, and likes. I really do appreciate you. I love doing live streams so much because unlike my wildlife tourism, which I did for decades, anybody can be with me from anywhere in the world. And we don't disturb the animals because they know me very well, and you can be with me, and you can also ask me your questions. Again, send me comments. I'm all over social media. Just check it out, and I will get back to you. It is my pleasure to do this. I don't get paid to do this. I do this because I love it. I love speaking to people all over the world because we're all on the same rock, my friends. Doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, your politics or anything. We're all here, including the mongoose, including the little fly who was visiting earlier, including the fiscal shrike and all the others. All right, I'm going to tell you a bit more about these wildlife hotels, since I was talking about this earlier. There she is, there she is. And back into another wildlife hotel. Please notice that white tip to the tail, even in the darkness, you can see it. She may come out again, but this is a very big wildlife hotel. And a big shout out to our sponsors in Italy again. Associazione Suricati Italia. Grazie mille. Yeah, because Alessia Torchini has visited here all the way from Italy to help build additional wildlife habitat. This is a unique concept in the world. It's a fact. The Meerkat Magic Conservation Project, the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve are creating wildlife habitat where previously wildlife used to occur, but their burrow systems have been destroyed primarily through agricultural use or housing developments. And now we are putting their habitat back there for them to recolonize. It is the equivalent of doing, there she is, in a wildlife hotel. You're seeing it for yourself. The wildlife have chosen to be here. She can go anywhere she wants in this enormous area, and she has chosen to be here. This mongoose has never been touched by a human. It's as simple as that. I followed her since she was born in November 2018, and she knows me very well, but I can lose her trust incredibly quickly if I'm not careful, and she's always wary because that's her life. She is an incredible champion, and that is why when I was mentioning earlier how she has survived the hardships, thanks again for the likes there. I appreciate it. Must be from you, Tamara. Thank you. And David, yeah, I appreciate our long-term viewers out there. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful day in the reserve. What a pleasure. It really is my great privilege to be able to share this information with you and just enjoy what I call some of the vitamin D-licious out here at the Stone Dojo Gym. Again, konnichiwa, totemo yoi tomodachi minasan. Yeah, to our Japanese friends, yet again, a shout out to you from the dojo. Oh, there she is. Look. Oh, it's exciting when I see her using these tunnels. What a great pleasure. Look at that. So she has gone all the way through this. Now, these tunnels have got subterranean chambers that we have made, which are insulated, and there's another one, and another one. If you yourself would like to come out and help construct these with me, it is open to the public from all over the world. Right now, these have been sponsored by all our members on Association of the Surrogates Italy, but it is not only for meerkats. It's about wildlife habitat conservation and education primarily. All right, so she's come out over there. Please notice how she is sniffing that entrance. Again, what I referred to earlier as an SSMS. And if you have not heard that yet, you can check it out in my Meerkats book, 2016, where I mention it for the first time because it is not a sent short message system. Yeah, it is, my friends. It is not a text message. It's a sent message. Yeah, not an SMS, an SSMS. And a big shout out to you, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, technocrats, incredible technology. But I also would like to say, although we have such amazing technology, wildlife far exceeds all our wildest technology expectations. Look, she's out there again. Busy scanning the area. I'm so delighted to show you this because you can see how she is using our wildlife hotels. It is her choice to be here. We've watched her now, if you've been on the stream for a while, easily for over an hour, and you are part of wildlife streaming history. I will be putting this live stream on my YouTube channel I mentioned earlier. For those who are just joining the stream, you can watch the entire stream there, because it looks like she is now heading off to an area where I will not follow her, because we will lose the signal from my Meerkat mansion, as it is called. And that's a joke. It's nothing like a mansion. I basically live like a monk. In other words, very, very basic Spartan existence here. And that's how I like it. I stayed in a tent for over a year as well, doing my wildlife research. I've walked around in the rainforests of Uganda with chimpanzee. I love being close to nature, and nature is all around me. Very sadly, and for all of our friends out there who have the great fortune of spending time with cats and dogs, I once had 11 cats that I rescued over the years. Back in 2001, old farm cats and feral cats, and gave them a home. I've had many different dog species over the years, including Great Danes that I grew up with, massive animals, Rottweilers, St. Bernards, Labradors, and Boerboels for our South Africans. You'll know them well. Sadly, my two beautiful children, as I call them, because anyone who knows dogs will know they become like your real family. It makes me sad when I think about it now. But they had a beautiful life here for over 17 years. But now I've decided not to get more dogs or cats in the area because it is exclusively for wildlife. Ever since the Meerkat Mansion doesn't have any domestic animals around anymore, I have porcupine walking on my porch outside my door at night. I kid you not. I have ant bear. For those who are not familiar with the porcupine, I'm going to drop a few names for you there. The Eystervark. I love that name so much, the Afrikaans name, because it is so descriptive. Eyster is iron, I-R-O-N, iron. A vark, V-A-R-K, is a pig. So imagine an iron pig. They are armor-plated, basically. It is so descriptive, the Eystervark. What is interesting to me is the Stachelschwein in German is like the prickly pig. Again, very descriptive. Stegelvark. Stegelvark. For our Dutch viewers out there. I love that as well. Like the prickly pig, a prickle pig. Porcospino. Italian friends out there. Yeah. Anyway, Hystrix africae australis. There's one scientific name. It doesn't matter what your language is. It's Hystrix africae australis, Africa's largest rodent species. And they are all over this reserve. And they are primarily nocturnal, active at night. But they are walking around the house at night often. They are also inhabitants of the Wildlife Hotel, which I'm standing above right now. So I'll just zoom out for our friends who are just joining now. Again, thank you for all the love out there. I appreciate it. I love you guys well, and gals. Thank you so much, all our wildlife friends. Hello out there. It's the man behind the hand. Author, the Meerkat Man, the Mongoose Man. And I'm standing on top of a Wildlife Hotel right now. Let's get back to the action. So, that's Yellow Mongoose. This is Mongoose Magic Moments. Not Meerkat Magic Moments today. But stick around, I might take you out one of these fine days deep into the wilderness to an undisclosed area. None of the areas I study are marked on a map deliberately for the animal's own protection. But viewers who are with me can join me on these streams. All right, let's go back to what's happening. Please notice the yellow mongoose, how her legs stick outwards. Unlike the meerkats, when they stand up, the legs hang down on their bellies. Yellow mongoose has 5 nails on the front feet. Non-retractile, short nails, and 5 on the back. 5, 5, and 5, and 5. No, that was a trick one I put out there for you. I wonder if anyone picked up on that. The banded mongoose, Mongoose mongo, has 5 and 5, and most mongoose species have 5 on the front, 5 on the back. The meerkats have 4 long nails on the front feet. Each foot has 4 short nails on the back feet. This yellow mongoose does not have 5 and 5, the cynictis penicillata. That's why I said that as a trick question. Comment. Yes, I like to throw in a little trick every now and again. Keep people questioning. 5 nails on the front feet, 4 on the back. Quite incredible. Dog lovers out there, you'll know what I'm talking about with the 5 and 4. But yes, she has 5. And that's why when she sticks her hands out, some people call them, I like that, her paws, they cannot be dropped down because of that extra digit that she has there. It's stiff. Yeah, unlike the meerkats who have the 4 and the 4. Incidentally, Acinonyx or Achinonyx jubatus, for our friends out there who love the cats, I haven't forgotten you. The cheetah, yes, the cheetah, Achinonyx or Acinonyx jubatus, Acinonyx. Oh, what a name. Jubatus, Jubatus, Acinonyx jubatus or Achinonyx jubatus. And it doesn't matter how you say it, anyone is wondering out there, because it's a dead language, supposedly, Latin, so you can say it however you like Lycaon pictus or Lycaon pictus, the wild dog. Okay, moving on with the C's. So, yellow mongoose, that you can see right there, looks very similar to a meerkat, except what I've just mentioned to you, when they stand up, their front legs stick out. Yes. Ooh, there's another bird that has arrived here. Let's see. Ooh, there you are. Spreo bicolor. Any guesses from the scientific? Bicolor? 2. And in fact, it's not a color, it's a shade. But anyway, let's not get overly pedantic. There it is, another one. Yeah, yes. Please notice how she's watching it. Yeah. They are insectivorous birds, like the shrike, and they are opportunists. So, she's watching it, and it's watching her. They are part of the neighborhood as well. If they alarm, she will also benefit from that interspecies vigilance and cooperation. She will, however, also make an alarm that they will benefit from. So, everybody here in the neighborhood benefits from everyone else. And I'm going to mention something else. Even an insect in the area is part of the neighborhood watch. In my Meerkats book, I have a poem called The Silent Call. For those who have got my book, thank you for your patronage. You'll know this very well then. The silent call, and as I say, is the loudest call of all. That's not an alarm, by the way. Spreo bicolor. S-P-R-E-O bicolor. I say fiscal would be better because it's black and white. That is, of course, the pied starling. Die wit gat spreeu. I love that Afrikaans name, die wit gat spreeu. It's brilliant. Anyway, you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that is the actual name of the bird in Afrikaans. Okay, die wit gat spreeu. They've moved on. They're like a gang. I often see them in flocks of 20 plus, and they will land in an area and demolish all the insects in that area before moving on. The yellow mongoose is, of course, watching them closely. There you go, 2 more. I'll try to catch them on the zoom. They're very rapid flyers. So many topics to cover. Wildlife hotels was the one I was on earlier with Hystrix africae australis. The beauty is now you can simply Google these scientific swear words for yourself. Yeah. Decades ago when I took people out in the Kalahari Desert as well in the 90s, and I mentioned scientific names because that's what we do in wildlife research, biologists, to identify things objectively. That's still the fiscal shrike. No. I know, that is another pied starling flying past. Anyway, she's again up on a guard. There it goes. They're low flying. There's another one. Yeah. Just letting you know, I'm not the threat. I was talking about insect alarms and porcupine and other creatures as well. There's so many topics. That's why I wrote a book, so you can read them at your leisure. But basically, even the insect is an alarm in this area, because when it stops calling, everybody will become alert because something has disturbed that insect. It's amazing. You may yourself know this insect. It is often called a cicada, a sonbessie in Afrikaans, an insect with multifaceted sight, ommatidia, like a dragonfly's eye, basically. They make a very loud humming sound, which they do by vibrating their tymbals. For our entomologist friends out there, this is for you. T-Y-M-B-A-L-S. Yeah, they vibrate their tymbals in their abdomen, and it makes this loud piercing. I call them bush thermometers. When it gets to temperatures of about 26 degrees to 34, it can be deafening, the sounds that they are making. And if that suddenly stops, you can be absolutely certain that wasn't just a random stopping of the racket. That's a reason for that. And when I've been around meerkats and I first move into an area, the cicadas are quiet because I've disturbed them. And all the meerkats and mongoose and antelope, springbuck and others, eland, etc. will all stop what they're doing and stand up and check what's caused the disturbance. So in my book, I talk about the silent call. Anyway, there are 3 poems in there. I wonder if I should give you this poem. Yeah, maybe I will. There's a live stream right now before she heads off. She's still under the tree there. I think I will do a little poem recital for you, something different. I was starting to do it the other day and I got cut off by the mobile stream. But now that we're at the base, let's see. It is about a butterfly. It is a metaphor for life. It is a very long poem and I'm going to try to remember it. It is called Fragility in Flight, and it's about a butterfly that lands on a flower and how fragile its life is, and yet it manages to survive. I saw it in the Kalahari Desert when I was walking with meerkats in the 90s. I got back to my research base and I wrote out the verses. And I was amazed by this butterfly because in that extreme heat of nearly 50 degrees centigrade, it was flying around and managing to survive. So for anyone who's ever taken the time out to watch a butterfly, you will understand these verses. You may also know, for our arachnid friends out there, this is another one for you. I already mentioned baboon spiders earlier. There's a spider called a crab spider. Very well camouflaged, cryptic. There she is. Please notice how she's come back here. I didn't call her. She's decided to come back. So let's zoom in there while I recite this poem for you. The crab spider lives on flowers. Well, that's a funny one because it does live on the flower, but it's not eating the flower. Let me rephrase that in this sense. It will hunt on a flower and be camouflaged. And often butterflies and bees and moths will land there and get caught by these spiders. So in my poem, I discuss how precarious its life is and how it escapes from a crab spider. And then it continues its acrobatic dance. And eventually, as she's looking at us, beautiful. I'll zoom out again so it doesn't wobble so much. Thanks so much for the hearts. And Tamara, thank you so much. I know it's you sending that, and I really appreciate all of that support there. Wilson, please remember, people, you can join my fan club as well. I see TikTok, even though I mainly stream on YouTube. I love the TikTok community. Such a supportive, wonderful community. All right, here, moving on. This is called Fragility in Flight. I composed this poem back in the 90s. I'm not reading it. Oh, lovely butterfly, as I watch you flutter by, I stop and ponder. Humanity can only wonder at this marvel of fragility, graciously gliding on rice paper wings of crimson feathery fire, mimicking the echo of past seasons' wing beats, with an innate desire, soaring silently, erratically, higher and higher. Just below the earth we know you struggled and crept, many moons you slept, emerging triumphant at last, fluttering away beyond our grasp. Lighter than a silky down feather, you may only endure the fairest of weather. Please notice how the mongoose is falling asleep to my voice. Swiftly swept up on gentle, airy arms, flaunting, shimmering, iridescent, leggy charms. Prancing prettily, hither and thither, you momentarily pause your careless flight to precariously alight on tantalizing blossoms, vibrant and bright. It is to them that you tenaciously cling as they pendulously swing, tentatively extending a shiny black velvet concertina coil of taste and smell towards a favorite food you know so well. Nature's voluptuous bounty of sweetest nectar and dew, like bees drawn inevitably towards golden honey, never fails to lure you. But beware of that eight-eyed, unblinking, glassy stare. It is fixated on you, this is the crab spider, as your clouded preoccupation probes anew. Rapacious ivory fangs are suddenly revealed, and yet the squat flowery body remains cryptically concealed, waiting with hungry patience between floral folds. An appearance such as yours fits deliciously into a ravenous mold. Away! Please notice how she's not alarmed. Spread your fragile wings in flight. She knows my voice. For here dwells one that wishes to feast. Make haste! Float away from this menacing beast. Randomly caught in an airy net, lifted away to safety, you soon forget. Nothing is perchance, continuing your fantastic acrobatic dance. Slicing ribbons through the cobalt dome, a voyager at ease in an invisible home. With sudden yearning, your movements are transformed into twisting and turning. A collision course has been set today towards a courtship display. Individual lives are hypnotized into play. Hundreds of spherical lives you must now carry and lay, allowing them to mature and grow as you have one day. Ever onwards, new lives they will sow, beckoned by the silent call, leading us all. Thank you for listening, my friends. That was Fragility in Flight. Just a little impromptu recital of one of my poems from the 90s about a metaphor for life, the butterfly. We are all travelers on this rock, including our most beautiful film star who's falling asleep. Her eyes are closing. She's had a difficult day already. She's been up since 4 o'clock this morning, and I've been up since 3:30. Just a day in the wildlife research. There are no days of the week here. Every day is a wildlife day. I don't usually even look at the time, except I can tell you now by looking at how the flowers have moved. It's a few hours before sunset now. Let's have a look. Yeah, and we're all going around that, my friends. It doesn't matter where you are and who you are. We're all on the same rock. That little cockroach that you may have seen today, or a little ant. We are all here because of all of our previous ancestors that have made it possible to be here right now. And that is why I also like to say, Mongoose magic moments. I live in the moments. Thank you for sharing some of them today with me and our beautiful film star, Kakulu Kucholina Chenorentola Tsebokudori. It's been a great privilege. I'm tongue twisted in mine now. It's been a great privilege. It's been a great privilege of mine to spend this moment with you today. And I'm super happy that that predator did not actually catch her or make a meal of her. She lives to survive another day. Please do like and share and join us on the next live stream. It's getting quite windy now. I'm going to go for a little walk and go find the Ungulungu Meerkats. Big love to you all. Please stay safe. Thank you so much for the likes and shares and support. Hopefully I'll see you on my YouTube channel. Drop some comments, let me know where you've been watching from. And you can watch the entire stream that you are now part of as well on the YouTube channel. Until next time, my friends. Arrivederci, tot ziens, sayonara, safari njema, gitsamapeni.